the psychological dance of someone pretending to ignore you while secretly monitoring your every move, is one of the most intriguing, confusing, and emotionally charged dynamics in modern relationships. It creates a heavy, unspoken tension in the air, a magnetic pull where one person acts completely detached, yet their entire focus remains locked onto your frequency. When a man adopts this behavior, it rarely stems from a place of true indifference. In fact, genuine indifference is quiet, effortless, and entirely passive. True apathy doesn't require strategy. When someone genuinely does not care, they do not expend the mental or emotional energy needed to maintain a cold exterior. They simply move on with their day. Therefore, when a man goes out of his way to actively show you that he is ignoring you, it is almost always a performance. It is a highly calculated, emotionally exhausting defense mechanism designed to shield his vulnerability, protect his pride, or regain a sense of control over a situation where he feels entirely off balance. He might be hiding a deep, overwhelming attraction that he isn't ready to voice, dealing with the lingering, bruised ego of a past rejection, or playing a strategic game of cat and mouse to see if his sudden absence will force you to chase him. Whatever the underlying motive, the reality remains the same. The effort required to pretend someone is invisible is massive, and human instinct is notoriously terrible at keeping up the facade for long. Because this behavior is inherently contradictory, it leaves behind a trail of subtle, subconscious clues. The human brain cannot easily compartmentalize intense focus. If a man is hyper-aware of your presence, that awareness will inevitably leak out through his body language, his micro-expressions, and his digital habits. He might avoid direct conversation, but his physical orientation will subvert his intentions. He might look away the second you turn your head, but his eyes will return to you the moment he thinks your attention is safely occupied elsewhere. He enters a state of hyper-vigilance, tracking who you talk to, how loud you laugh, and where you go, all while trying to project the image of a man who is completely unbothered. Unmasking this behavior requires looking past his words or his lack of words and paying close attention to the patterns of his consistency. It is about reading the subtext of the silence. When you learn to separate a man's deliberate, conscious actions from his involuntary subconscious responses, the illusion of his indifference quickly falls apart. The following indicators explore the fascinating behavioral anatomy of a man who claims to look right through you, but is actually hanging on your every move, revealing that the silence between you is anything but empty. The reflexive eye contact glance. Even when someone tries their hardest to pretend you aren't there, human instinct usually wins. You will catch him looking your way out of the corner of your eye. But the second you turn your head to meet his gaze, he instantly snaps his eyes away. This reflexive look and hide happens because his attention is naturally drawn to you. But his pride or strategy demands that he pretend he doesn't care. His body language faces your direction. An unread signal of attraction is the physical direction a person's body points. Even if he is engaged in a completely separate conversation across the room and actively ignoring your presence, look at his feet, hips, or shoulders. Subconsciously, we orient our bodies toward the person we are most interested in or focused on. If his torso or feet are angled toward you while he acts completely detached, his focus is entirely yours. He hovers in your immediate proximity. He might not be talking to you, but he always seems to end up in the same square footage. If you move to the kitchen or a different side of a gathering, you will notice that within a few minutes, he has migrated to that general area too. He uses physical proximity as a tool to stay within arm's reach, allowing him to overhear your conversations and stay in your orbit without having to actually initiate contact. He suddenly remembers small details you mentioned. This is where the ignoring act completely slips up. Weeks after you casually mentioned a specific random preference, a minor problem you were having, or an event you were attending, he will drop a hint that he knows about it, because he was quietly listening while pretending to be on his phone or talking to someone else. He absorbed the information. He can't help but let it slip later because he is genuinely tracking what you say. The delayed digital engagement, late likes and views. While face-to-face interactions might feel cold, his digital footprint reveals the truth. He is consistently one of the first people to watch your stories, or he drops a like on a post hours after it went live, often late at night. This delay is usually an intentional tactic to avoid looking overly eager, allowing him to monitor your life, schedule, and company from a safe. His friends know things you only told him. If you happen to talk to his friends or outer circle, You might notice they accidentally drop details about your life, hobbies or recent plans that you never shared with them. This happens because despite his distant facade, he is talking about you behind closed doors. He is filtering the information he gathered, while quietly watching you and venting or speculating about it to his inner circle. He goes dead silent. When you enter the room, pay attention to the volume of his voice and his energy levels when you walk into a space. If he was laughing, joking, or talking loudly just seconds before, and suddenly drops his volume or goes completely quiet, the moment you are within earshot, it's a major indicator. He goes silent because his focus has entirely shifted to you. He is monitoring your entrance and listening to see who you talk to. He changes his behavior or laughs louder when you are near. On the flip side of going silent, some guys will do the exact opposite to get your attention, without having to speak to you directly. If you walk nearby and he suddenly starts laughing dramatically at a friend's joke, uses a more commanding tone of voice, or acts incredibly animated, he is putting on a performance. He wants you to see how much fun he is having, hoping you'll look his way. He mirror images your movements subconsciously. Mirroring is a deeply ingrained biological response to someone we are hyper-focused on or attracted to. If you cross your arms, lean against a wall, or take a sip of your drink, notice if he does the exact same thing a few seconds later. Even though he is pretending to ignore you, his brain is deeply synced up with your physical actions, causing him to copy your posture without even realizing it. The direct visual check-in. When he thinks you are distracted, the moment he believes your attention is 100% occupied, whether you are deeply laughing at a joke someone else told, looking down at your phone, or completely turned away from him, his indifferent mask drops. He will use these safe windows of time to openly stare at you, taking in your expressions, your outfit, and your vibe, confident that he won't get caught in the act. He always positions himself to keep you in his line of sight. Watch where he chooses to sit or stand in a crowded room. If you are sitting across the room, he will naturally position himself facing you, rather than with his back to you. If he has to move, he will choose a spot where he can easily look up and see you without having to awkwardly turn his head. He needs you in his visual field so he can keep track of what you are doing at all times. He shows up at places he knows you frequent. Coincidences stop being coincidences when they happen repeatedly. If he knows you always grab coffee at a specific spot on Tuesdays, or that you hang out at a particular study area or lounge, you'll suddenly start spotting him there. He will act completely surprised to see you, or pretend he is just passing through for entirely unrelated reasons. But it's a calculated move to get into your physical space without having to invite you out. The micro-expressions of jealousy or interest. While he might succeed at keeping his mouth shut, his face will give him away if you look closely. If another guy approaches you, flirts with you, or makes you laugh, watch his immediate reaction. You might catch a sudden tightening of his jaw, a brief frown, or a sharp, intense stare in your direction before he quickly recovers his bored expression. He can't completely control these split-second emotional leaks. He defends or supports you from the shadows. He might act indifferent to your face, but the moment someone else speaks poorly of you or undervalues your work in a group setting, he will quietly step in. He might casually shut down a negative comment, validate a point you made earlier, or offer a resource you need through a mutual friend. He wants to protect and support you, but he does it from a distance, so he doesn't have to break his detached persona. He breaks the cold front. Immediately, when you approach him directly, the ultimate proof that the indifference is an act is how quickly it melts when you force an interaction. If he truly didn't care, an approach from you would be met with genuine boredom or polite annoyance. But if he is secretly watching you, direct contact catches him off guard. His posture will instantly straighten, his eyes will light up, and he will engage with an intensity or nervousness that completely contradicts how invisible he was trying to make you feel.